There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
What a long, strange trip it's been. Literally, if you remember last week.
I don't.
We've come to the final entry in our series, Be Like the Cor-Man.
Cor-Man.
And appropriately, it is the last film the Cor-Man himself ever directed. 1990's Frankenstein Unbound.
Ooh.
After this, he chose to sit back in the producer's chair to enable such cinematic classics as Blood Fist 2050, Dino Croc, Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader, and of course, Sharktopus vs. Terracuda.
I'm sorry, just a second.
What?
Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader? Really?
Quiet. I'm in the zone.
Sorry.
What a legacy this man leaves behind. Who can forget such lines as, "Hey, watch it, I'm Conan O'Brien." And of course, "What's up, Big Mama?" "Nothing much, just growing into a gigantic mutant." "You?" That is, of course, from Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader. What more needs to be said? Well, plenty, because you're stuck here at Max Mike Movies. I'm your host, Max Dracula Unzipped Levine, and over there, lurching slowly toward us, is Mike the Mummy Uncontrollably Flatulent Loose. Stay downwind, Mike.
What about our canned cocktails?
You'll have that later.
Oh.
Yes, Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader is a real movie.
Please tell me you haven't watched it.
I have not yet.
Phew. Yet?
I feel I kind of have to.
Oh, God. No, please do it at least inebriated or high or something.
Oh, yeah. Possibly oxygen-starved, something.
Sure.
But before we get to this, another classic Corman, we have our poll question.
Poll question. Real quick, I'd like to apologize for this week's poll question because apparently y'all didn't like it very much.
I still think people just misinterpreted it.
Oh, I think it's our weakest poll question yet. But thank you for culling, not culling, that's what I did. I culled the herd that listens to us and said, no, don't answer our poll question. But who did, Max?
But there were a number who did, and the question was, what time period is your favorite film setting, the past or future? Georges Saunier says, anything pre-text messaging. I just hate it on film.
I don't blame him there.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Aaron Perez says World War II or WW2 Nug. Love the history around it, the innovation, drama, and fashion. Oh. I hadn't really thought of the World War II fashion, but sure, there was a lot of changes then.
Yeah.
Brian Mundo says the future. I'll give you one guess why.
Fifth Element.
Yep.
Oh, Slow Bear.
We all knew it. From Dave. I like all films. Well, that's very nice. Next. Oh, sorry. No. I like all films that cast me back to the past and show me a particular time period with a clean aesthetic vision of the time period. Doesn't have to be set in the past. It can just be made in the past and representative of its time. Of course, movies and historical fiction tend to group around particular themes that happen to have good or tried and true source material. Familiar source material, like Victorian England, is fun, but unfamiliar is good too. I loved The Empress on Netflix because it was not familiar. I'm not sure which Empress that's talking about. Maybe Catherine the Great?
Don't know.
I love anything about the Tudors, okay, because such potential for drama, and you get to know the characters, but they are different in every show. Very true. But unfamiliar can be fun, too. Loved Killers of the Flower Moon for its set and costumes and bleak vision of humanity. Yeah, that sums it up. That's true.
I love it for its bleakness.
It's a terrific movie, but yeah, very, very bleak. Loved Peaky Blinders for the same reasons. I need to watch that. It's supposed to be really good. Some time periods are hard to do well. Good films set in Roman times. Welcome to Roman times. Are few and far between, despite the excellent source material available. You know, it's funny. That's true. There's an awful lot of really bad sword and sandal Roman Empire movies.
It's the pageantry.
I guess. Some time periods are overdone. I don't need to see another movie about Germany during the Holocaust, but do a good one about Frederick Barbarossa or the Carolingians, and I would go see it in a New York minute, as long as it isn't nationalistic propaganda. That's a bit of a stretch, but sure.
North Carolingians or South Carolingians?
They don't like to say.
Oh.
In Japan, I love Sengoku 1560 to 1650 because of the familiar cast of characters. I love 1690 to 1710. Boy, this is very specific, because that is when Japan is grappling with the moral fiber of society and the first true tales of justice are told. There's a resurgence of such issues in the 1790s as well, but fewer movies in that period. Interesting. I love the 12th century and Bakumatsu, 1854 to 1868. Also for the familiar cast of characters. It is incredibly difficult to do a good movie and set it in Japan during Nara or early Heian, despite a wealth of good source material. Wasn't I just saying that last week?
You were.
I wish there could be a good movie in the Nara or early Heian period.
They just can't do it right.
It's just... But thank you, Dave. I'm glad you know what that means, because we don't.
It's the Heian period, I want to say, is pre-World War II. Is it early 20th, late 19th? I'm not positive.
I swear he's told me, and I cannot remember. He's also, I think, mentioned when the Nara period is. I have no idea.
Yeah. I know Meiji Restoration. That's what I know. Please note, Max Mike Movies knows that Mike is totally wrong, and the Heian period is actually roughly 794 to 1185 AD. Thank you, and don't write in.
Nick Hoffman says, tough call. Obviously, I adore science fiction, but I am also a fierce lover of historical films. The present tends to be less interesting to me because I am living in it. And of course, the future is where you and I will be spending the rest of our lives.
Thanks, Chris.
That's a good point there, Nick.
Sure.
Adam Mark says, I enjoy stories set in the past and future. So much of our lives, laws, and cultural touchstones are just norms. Whatever everyone else thinks is normal, and whatever everyone else is doing, ...
Norms.
I love the scullery maid on Downton Abbey being told, Lord Grantham is thinking of installing electricity downstairs. And she reacts with true bafflement. Why? I love Nell Ginn, the king's mistress, being insulted with Catholic whore at the theater, and she responds in shock, Sir, I am a Protestant whore. Nice response there. I love Roman soldiers not minding death, believing that perishing bravely in battle guarantees them the favor of Jupiter.
It doesn't.
And I love the future, where especially dystopias, where all that was once certain is now in question, and the promises of technology turned out to be betrayals. World building is just the best. A specific time? Gotta be the 20s through the 40s. Modern, but not postmodern. A great looming threat on the horizon, but not quite yet. The Charleston. Oh, that was a good candy bar. The Jitterbug, the big bands, and the jazz bars. The Flapper, the Gal Friday, the Gumshoe, the Everyman, the G.I. Joe, with or without Kung Fu grip.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yep. Liberated women who still wore hats and gloves and heels. The uniforms. Such uniforms. Fedora-wearing men who have seen it all, but the restless can-doism of the age just cannot be suppressed. The music is amazing, the uniforms and dresses are fun, and the juxtaposition of optimism and dread are always just wonderful. Even if the story is not about the Depression or the war, the two are always ever present to the modern viewer. A writer's playground and a player's feast. It's the between the wars years for me. That's pretty interesting. Thank you, Adam.
I might say, I'm starting to wonder, is Adam in the middle of trying to get a degree in English and that every week he's required to write an essay?
I'm wondering if is he using these posts and like turning them in as assignments?
And
Adam?
If he is, thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to know. I hope you're getting good grades on them.
Yeah, we give you an A+ every week.
Absolutely. Val Coons, who as we know is from the Between the Wars period Q Footsteps podcast. Well, no, it actually takes place after World War II, doesn't it?
Well, it's between. It's right around Korea.
Okay. Well, that's after World War II.
Yes. So are you.
Regardless, it's a podcast, and it's good.
And
Listen.
we're in it. Oops.
Yay!
I gave it away.
This is a really hard question to answer, apparently. I like movies in all of those settings. All of what? Oh, past and future? None more than the other. The caveat being that the movies are true to their settings. There's nothing more grating than to hear a modern term in a film set in the 1930s, for instance. Oh, God, yeah.
Yep.
Assistant Stevens says he likes films that are set in the movie's present. The movie's present.
Well, that makes sense.
And I think he has a point. If the movie embraces all of the idiosyncrasies of its settings, then it will work. Okay. With Star Wars, the particular film, not the entire series, I feel like I'm drawn into a real world. Joss Whedon, yes, I know, sigh, took Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing and put it in the present. And the way he did it worked really well. This is true. So I'm going to go with Steven's response. I like movies that embrace the settings they're given as their present.
Cool.
Okay.
I get that.
Less a period and more a type of film, sure.
Yeah.
And, of course, from that mythical land outside of time and space, Canada.
Mythical.
Yeah, you can't tell me that's a real country.
It's nearly a continent.
Comes Vince, who says, past or future? I actually like steampunk, which is getting the future in my past, and I also like futures with odd-looking, old-looking tech get mixed in, like Brazil. So that is getting my past mixed with my future. Two great tastes that taste great together.
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Thank you, Vince. Nicely put, as always.
Yeah. And penguin free.
Yes, 100% penguin free, unlike Reese's peanut butter cups. It's true. I saw it on Reddit.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? What is your favorite era for films to take place in?
I have a real soft spot for the 40s. I do also like film noir. We did that whole series, and there was just so many great examples of it. Even films later on that weren't that period, but were embracing its ideals, like La Samurai, I have a soft spot for. But I am a science fiction nerd. I have always been a science fiction nerd. I will always be a science fiction nerd. I also like shows like the original Star Trek, where the idea was, hey, we're going to get through this and things are going to be good. I wish we had more of that because, yeah. So I like some of the future stuff, because in a way you can get away with things you wouldn't otherwise. Unfortunately, technology has this annoying tendency to creep up on you. And so things that looked so futuristic and amazing 10 years ago are like, yeah, I got an app for that. Big deal. So, yeah, I'm a future guy. How about you, Max?
I like the future, too. I like science fiction. In terms of, like, specific eras in the past, I love movies about old Hollywood. And I like movies from that era sometimes. You know, back in the good old days when actors weren't treated as human beings and there were no such thing as black people and women could be traded like trading. Yeah, I know, okay, I know. There's a lot of horribleness there. I just have such a soft spot. And I love stuff in the Victorian era just because I've studied that so much.
Well, you're a big Dickens fan, right?
I am. And I was a Dickens scholar in grad school, and I just really like that stuff. Although, again, very similar to, as Dave pointed out, about the Roman movies, there's an awful lot of bad ones set in the Victorian era, too.
Yeah. People who don't do what they call research.
Yeah.
Unlike us. We do tons, sort of.
But those were terrific. Thank you so much for those answers. And we like them so much that our craving increases, our hunger becomes eternal. Give us more.
I hunger.
Yes, thank you.
Sinistar.
Sinistar. I was going to say Skeletor, but I knew that was wrong.
Run.
I hunger, He-Man. Whoa, that actually has some weird implications. Anyway.
Yes.
But this one, inspired by this week's, Frankenstein is the third most adapted literary character in movie or TV history, right after Dracula and Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
Who is your favorite literary character who's been adapted to film and TV multiple times?
Ooh, neat.
Yeah. And at the end of the show, we will reveal the deep, dark, mind-shattering secret of how you can answer the question.
And until then, we'll just wait in the Lambda Zone.
Thank you, Cayman Islands. But now, stuff. The facts. Budget. Okay, we keep going on about how Corman's movies didn't lose money.
Oh dear.
Oh boy, is this the exception.
Uh-oh.
This may be one of the reasons he stopped directing. I can't confirm that. The budget for this movie was a whopping $11.5 million.
Oh dear, that's more than any of his single movies ever made.
I think that's more than all of his previous movies cost together, but it made $335,000.
Made.
Yeah.
Oh, you're being very kind.
That was the box office. Well, it took in. Yes.
It printed.
Yeah.
Dear.
This movie was a flop.
Oops.
Flop, flop, flopsy, which is probably one of the reasons it is very hard to find. It's not on streaming. I had to get a DVD from the library.
It's hiding for your safety.
Yeah, pretty much. I think they're trying to protect us.
Now, wait, that's not fair because not just because the film didn't make money doesn't mean that we didn't enjoy it.
This is true.
You never know.
We've had a number of these films that did not take in a lot of cash that were a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah. This was adapted from the novel of the same name by the Hugo Award-winning science fiction author Brian Aldiss. I don't think I've read any of his stuff. The only thing I know, and I haven't read it, I just saw the adaptation, is he wrote a short story called Super Toys Last All Summer Long in 1969.
Uh-oh.
You may not know this one, but it was the basis for the movie AI Artificial Intelligence from Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg.
Oh, I was thinking it might have something to do with Toy Story.
No.
Interesting.
The futuristic car that Dr. Buchanan, that's played by Sir John Hurt,
yeah,
is a 1988 Ital-design Aztec concept car.
Ah.
Yep, it's an Italian sports car.
Sort of.
Now, this was a sprawling production.
Yeah.
This one was shot in 7 weeks.
Ooh, 7?
You know how many Little Shops of Horrors he could have turned out in that time?
What was it? 2 days?
2 days, so yeah.
7 weeks, that's 49 days. That's literally 24 and a half.
Yep. It had been 20 years since he had directed a movie. It was something about Eddie Rickenbacker versus Baron von Richthofen.
Baron von Redberry, what?
Yeah. Yeah, Redberry is der very goodest. Yes, I'm embarrassed. I still remember those serials, Sir Grapefellow and Baron von Redberry.
They were terrible.
Yeah, I imagine. This was also the last movie he directed before his death this year.
Yeah, so it was, what was this, 1990? So he died...
1990. He didn't...
34 years.
34 years. He produced a ton of others, but he did not direct a single one.
Aww.
The actor Nick Brimble, who plays the monster, is shown as introducing. He'd been working since 1970.
Oh.
He had 8 theatrical movies and a whole lot of TV shows. If you didn't recognize him, which given that he's wearing about 9 pounds of latex on his head, he also plays Little John in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Do he? I just had to say one thing, Max. Have you ever met Nick Brimble?
I might have. I wouldn't know, because I don't know what he looks like.
You haven't, have you?
No.
So this movie does introduce you to Nick Brimble. So there.
Damn, you've run rings around me logically.
I'm trying to help the Cor-Man.
The title is, of course, a reference to the full title of Mary Shelley's original novel, Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus, and Percy Bysshe Shelley's lyrical drama, Prometheus Unbound. The writer Edward Neumeier, or Neumeier, I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce his name, I'm going to say Neumeier, did a bunch of uncredited rewrites on the script. The British Quad poster does credit him as Ed Neumeier in the writing credits. If you're wondering who the hell is Ed Neumeier, I got one word for you. RoboCop.
Ooh.
Not just RoboCop, but RoboCop 2, RoboCop 3, the RoboCop TV series, the animated show, and the reboot.
Well, good for him.
He also wrote Starship Troopers.
The movie.
The movie.
I was going to say, I think Heinlein wrote the book.
Heinlein wrote the book, yeah. The credited writer, or one of the credited writers, along with Roger Corman and Brian Aldiss, is F.X. Feeney. Who wrote a total of 2 other films.
Have we heard of them?
Dawnland and The Big Brass Ring.
So the answer to that is no.
That would be no. And just as sort of celebrity, sort of trivia, the unfortunate Justine Moritz, who is accused of murder and witchcraft, that is Roger Corman's daughter, Catherine.
Oh.
That's why he gave her such a juicy part of, what? No!
Don't do that. No, it's bad.
I am innocent.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I can't help but notice that poor Catherine does not have a photo next to her name on IMDb.
No, she really did not go on to do much acting. I can't think why. So,
good for her. I had one or two tiny little tidbits just to add. I wanted to know it. So it's based on this novel by Brian Aldiss. Is the plot even close? Apparently, the answer is yes. It's pretty much the same plot as the novel.
Really?
And I found out how much Roger himself made on this film.
How much?
$1 million.
Whoa! How did he make that much money if it took him? Oh, they must have given him a hell of an advance.
Because that's what he said. I have to get paid to direct this film. And
oh, wow.
I'm going to go with good for you, Roger.
Way to get that money, kid.
Yeah. And also, this is a film not entirely shot in Los Angeles, which...
No, this is shot in Italy.
Yeah. Even though it's pretending
Italy.
to be Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yeah. Well,
I mean, Switzerland's near Italy. It's right.
It is. Yeah. It's right nearby.
Yeah.
They speak Italian in Switzerland, some of them.
And he has a little... Percy Shelley has a little house on Lake Geneva, which I thought was in Wisconsin. But, well, having been there...
That, by the way, is accurate. That part... that whole thing of Shelley, Byron, and Mary Godwin at the time, later Mary Shelley, being in a house together on Lake Geneva, that is, in fact, where she got the idea for Frankenstein.
Well, cool, because that means with all that literary background, there must be one hell of a story. And, Max, I would love it if you would tell us that story.
Okay, strap in.
Or strap on, take your pick.
Strap in, strap on.
The strapper.
First off, we all know the story of Frankenstein, right? This is the same thing, just unbound from pretty much anything. John Hurt plays Dr. Buchanan, a weapons developer from the year 2031, and he has just created what is in effect a disintegration ray. One tiny, itsy-bitsy, insignificant, teeny-weeny side effect. It tears holes in the fabric of space and time. Whoopsie-doodle! After running into this minor problem, Buchanan heads home in his talking electric car. Kind of like Kit, but with a sexier voice and less personality. Just in time to take part in the ritual burial of a bicycle by neighborhood children. Like you do. And typically, he's attacked by a Mongol warrior on a 20th century English horse for a minute or two before the Mongol is sucked back into the rip in the space-time continuum, which then Buchanan and his sexy car, but not the bicycle, get transported through this portal to 1817 Switzerland. There, he meets Victor Frankenstein, played by Raoul Julia, and other fictional characters like Lord Byron and Percy Bysshe Shelley, not to mention the delectable Mary Godwin, played by Bridget Fonda before she becomes Mary Shelley. That's before Mary Godwin becomes Mary Shelley, not before Bridget Fonda becomes Mary Shelley. To the best of my knowledge, Bridget Fonda has still not become Mary Shelley. It seems like Victor's little brother has been murdered. And they've accused Roger Corman's daughter, a young woman of the town, of somehow growing 2 feet taller, sprouting extra fingers, and strangling the boy. Or maybe she's a witch. Who can say? She did turn me into a newt. They're going to hang someone, by golly. Of course, in a story with the name Frankenstein in it, there's only one person who goes around strangling. Yep, the monster is about... Because as we all know, the monster's name is not Frankenstein, it is Frankenstein's monster. Having that pointed out, by the way, is a sure sign you're talking to a douchebag.
And yet it's true.
Yes, it is. The monster is about demanding that Victor hook him up with a hottie like he promised. Many unconnected shenanigans take place, including Buchanan doing the nasty with Mary Godwin. More on that, why that's a bit ew, later. Trying to save the accused woman, getting caught by Dr. Frankenstein and the monster, and forced to help create the bride of Frankenstein from the corpse of Victor's fiancée, who has been killed by the monster. Got all that? The plan works, sort of, but what a stroke of luck! Luck? Buchanan's sexy car has a massive laser cannon built into the hood. I guess that's a standard option in 2031. I'd buy it. And Buchanan opens another rift in time and space and dumps all the remaining characters and himself but not his loyal car, into it. Eventually, Buchanan is the only one left alive in a frozen wasteland in the far future, but the monster will be with him always, Obi-Wan Kenobi style. Just like Mary Shelley envisioned.
The film.
Okay.
Oh, that was it, was it? Okay.
That's all I could cram in there. There's other stuff, but yikes.
I want to give you both credit and surprise for when you were talking about the side effect of his disintegration ray not bursting into, he tore a portal open in time. Because that's immediately what I thought.
Yep. Well, no one in the movie has big flaming eyebrows.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you could identify the fact that what came through was a Mongol. I would have gone with John Wayne because, quite honestly, it's just as convincing.
Yeah, it's the damn pointy hat. He is, of course, not riding a Mongol pony. He's riding a 20th century English horse.
Quick question. As good as this film might be, because we're not saying...
Yeah.
Would it have been made better if through that, and I have to give it a new name, I can't use the first name I came up with because it's naughty, but I'm going to call the thing in the sky a time-gina. So, am I wrong?
You are not. I got to say, it's like looking at a Georgia O'Keeffe.
Would this movie have been even better if through the time-gina stumbled out Samurai Jack?
Ooh, this movie would have been 1 billion times better.
Not saying it's bad, just saying...
No, but Samurai Jack would make any movie better. Yes. Come on.
So, first question as always, had you seen this before?
I had not. I had heard of it. I had seen somewhere, I've seen the poster.
Me too.
Which has that weird eyeball with literally looks like 3 or 4 eyes stitched together. That was it. I never even knew what the movie was about. I didn't know it was Roger Corman. I don't know if I ever saw it playing in the theater. Nothing. You?
No, same thing. I saw the poster, and I gotta say, the poster is really compelling. It's kind of icky, but it's not like turn away and retch icky. It's
just like, dude.
Whoever came up with that poster did a really good job because it's like you're looking at this thing like maybe this is going to be a version of Frankenstein I've never seen before, something totally different, and it is. So this is the first
very
time.
Arresting.
This is the first time for you then.
This is the first time. Yeah,
and we had to go locate it because it.
Yes, we did.
It's too good to be released on services. Maybe, you never know. Maybe people are fighting over the rights. You don't know.
That is entirely possible.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say, the opening titles where it says Frankenstein Unbound, I swear it looked like Frankenstein Inbound, which I thought, and you are now reaching the Frankenstein Inbound line. There's delays. The script was so hard to read, it looked like an eye.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And you notice in this movie there are special appearances. Yeah.
But we'll also have a cast to go through. Do you want to do that?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Because there's some big names in here.
There are a couple of really remarkable names. We have Sir John Hurt.
Yeah.
As Buchanan. Doesn't get a first name. I thought someone referred to him as John, but I think I was wrong.
Buchanan, I can't remember his first name. Dr. Buchanan's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's John Hurt.
Yep.
And he's trying.
I want to say that John Hurt presages the invention of the everyday smartphone because if you can imagine him holding one, you could also imagine him phoning this in.
Yeah. John does not. This is clearly not his finest work. I mean, this guy's already, by the time he did this movie, he's been nominated for 2 Oscars.
Yeah.
And you get the feeling he's looking at this and to give him credit, he says the lines with, some conviction and he doesn't smirk.
He says them with a British accent, Max. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he says them with a British accent, so he sounds classy.
Yeah.
That's really all you can say about him.
He's not, he doesn't embarrass himself.
No.
But he's not giving it his all.
He's not trying that hard. And quite honestly, neither is the next big name, Raul Julia.
I mean, he's not M. Bison. But he's...
No. Hey, M. Bison, at least he's having fun. When he's doing M. Bison, he's like, scenery. I
gave him one step above John Hurt. Not because I think that he's necessarily a better actor or whatever. I just thought there was slightly, like when you those little
put a little more effort in.
Those little lines on your stereo when you turn the knob a little bit. It's one of those slightly more, and he kind of goes crazy than John Hurt was doing. And he's one of those actors too. It's Raul Julia. I like him in anything he's done, even when he inexplicably plays Jerry's brother from the Bob Newhart show.
You're kidding.
No, well, they're both adopted, to be fair, but if you were going to pick...
I didn't remember that at all. It was Raul Julia?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Greg, I think his name is. But I love him in anything.
He's terrific.
So it's, again, he doesn't embarrass himself, so we'll give him that. How about Nick Brimble as the monster?
Nick Brimble, so, I gotta say, he really does try.
Yes.
There's a guy who's really putting an effort in. And he's trying to bring some real pathos to the monster. The problem is the actions and the dialogue don't fit his performance.
Right.
He's trying to be like, what is murder? After he's ripped some guy's spine out through his chest.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you're doing, dude. Come on.
It's a really bad paraphrasing of Captain Kirk. Murder. What is murder? Show me murder.
Pretty much.
I got to say, I have to ask you a question, a literary question. Have you read Frankenstein?
I have.
My understanding is that the monster is slightly more sympathetic in the book because he's misunderstood. Is that correct, or is he just a monster?
Kind of. No, he's first of all, in the book, he talks. Okay. He's quite articulate. He's not, fire bad, bread good.
Okay.
And mostly it's not, he's wronged. He's like, I shouldn't exist. You shouldn't have done this to me, Frankenstein. But now that now that you've done this, now that you've made me, you are responsible for me, and you're responsible for everything I do. It's a really interesting story. The science fiction aspect of it is incredibly minor. The whole creation of the monster is less than a page.
Cool. I probably should read it. I don't think it's that long either, is it?
It isn't. It's a little slow. But it is a really interesting read, especially in a historical context.
Cool. That's what I thought. And I thought when I saw the way that they were doing the monster, I'm kind of like, why are you wasting this opportunity? This could be more interesting if you did more with that. But no, he's just crazy. And the makeup is really weird.
He has, not bolts in the side of the neck, but what do they look like? Gear wheels?
Carabiners? I don't know. They're like jumper, so you can put jumper cables which haven't been invented yet.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know. I didn't care for the. It didn't make any sense to me at all.
The look, the look was very odd.
Yeah, but then we have Bridget Fonda who plays Mary.
Yeah, I mean, she's not phoning it in; she's sending it in by letter. I think.
I'm pretty. Yes, you are.
But also, this is a Corman movie. She's not given much to do, except to make out with John Hurt,
which does hurt.
Have sex. Well. You know how well, first of all, at this point, John Hurt is 50 years old, and she's 26.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, there are relationships where people do have a large gap between their ages that can work. However, when we're seeing it in films, it's almost always a, oh, girly, little girly. I'm going to make out with the little girly. Ugh, it's just creepy.
To be fair, I think they had a certain amount of chemistry.
Not as much as two other people in this film. Do you know who I might be talking about?
Who are you talking about?
Oh, Percy and Byron.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's historically true. By the way, Percy is played... no, not Percy, excuse me. Byron is played by Jason Patrick, who we know mostly from The Lost Boys. He played Michael, and of course, who could forget, Solar Babies.
Well, I can because I've never seen it. That being said, I'm willing to bet had I seen it, I could also forget it. I will say this, he is utterly unrecognizable in this film from The Lost Boys. He plays Lord Byron, he's there for 5 minutes, let's face it. He doesn't have a lot to do. But he and Michael Hutchins, who is the lead singer of In Excess, who plays Percy Shelley, those two, you're just like, get a bed, guys. I mean, when's this going to happen? It doesn't. But
Well, historically, probably, allegedly, it happened a lot.
Well, if they were anything like they're portrayed in this movie, I can totally understand why. And poor Mary is it's like, that's why she wrote the book. She had nothing to do while they were off, in the bushes.
Oh no! Allegedly, she was included, and so was some other woman. There were a lot of sexy shenanigans going on at that lake house, apparently. But yeah, both Shelley and Byron were, shall we say, sexually flexible.
Well, and look at that location. I know this wasn't the actual location, but if it
Yeah.
was anything like that, why wouldn't you? It was
Yeah,
actually
seriously.
one part of the movie. I'm like, this feels factually accurate. Like, I bet these writers hung out and they talk about free sex. And of course, one of them decides to go off and have it with John Hurt, who's probably a very nice man, if not twice her age. But honestly, the most chemistry I felt in the film was between Byron and Shelley.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure neither actor, well, Michael Hutchins isn't an actor, although he does fine for what
Yeah,
he's
he does a decent. I mean, he has what, 3 lines,
Yeah.
but he doesn't embarrass himself.
No.
And you don't think, oh God, there's a musician who's trying to act. He's on the level with the others, I think.
Maybe there's a little wisdom from Corman. It's like, I want you in my film. I'm not going to give you enough time to actually ruin it. So I wish that could have been done with other. Now, I've never seen Roger Daltrey as Franz Liszt, but I kind of want to.
Ooh.
Listomania.
Oh.
I think it's a Ken Russell film. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so often we'll see musicians who want to be actors, and when the film's over, they still want to be actors.
Yeah. And there's, of course, the one of the only other women in the movie, Elizabeth, Victor's fiance,
Sure.
played by Catherine Rabbit.
Well,
Not spelled like the animal.
at least she has a lot to do and a bunch of... No, she doesn't.
No, she walks around with Frankenstein, gets to drive a carriage once, and then is killed.
Yeah.
And then comes back as the bride
Which she...
and has no dialogue.
No.
She's on screen as the bride for about 3 minutes.
And her makeup's worse
And
than the
then-
monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then dies.
Yeah.
But they still, by the way, now keep in mind, Mary Shelley did not write The Bride of Frankenstein.
No.
But they still kept the bit where when the bride is created, she gravitates more to Frankenstein than the monster. Because who doesn't want a doctor?
I might need one, but anyway. Yeah, then there's the rest. It's a Corman film. There's lots of... I was very sorry to see that we don't have any of our usual favorites in this.
Yeah, where's Dick? He's
Yeah,
not in this.
Poor Dick Miller. He could have been, I don't know, tradesman or something. Maybe they couldn't afford to fly him to Italy.
Oh, yeah, the sexy voice of the car, by the way, is an actress named Terry Trias. Who, quite honestly, I know from exactly one thing. She was in the TV series based on the movie Alien Nation.
Oh, right. Okay.
She played Kathy.
Okay. Sure. Great.
That's pretty much it.
So we have probably, actually, to be fair, one of our less impressive performances by a Corman crew, because usually he's managed to get something out of people that they won't have till later, or you wouldn't expect them to have, and not my favorite performances.
No, I think one of the problems is of the major names, they're already kind of names. They've already had successes. They're not trying to prove anything. And they are in a position where they can realize what sort of a script they're dealing with.
Well, what's that acronym for people who get an Oscar and a Tony?
Oh, EGOT.
EGOT. Maybe there's a hidden acronym we don't know in Hollywood, and one of them is you have to be in a Corman film. So
Maybe.
to get the C, you have to actually be in the film, or you don't get the ERGOT.
Yeah, or just at least on your Hollywood bingo career
ERGOT
card. EGOT.
EGOT. I was saying, isn't ergo that's that nasty fungus that makes you think you're possessed?
Yep.
We did that last week.
Yep.
So,
No. EGOT. Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yeah. I want to point out, this is something that I did notice without wearing headphones. This film is almost entirely looped, and I got to say, I think it's honestly hurting the performances.
Yeah, there's a real disconnect you can feel between the voices and the performances.
Yeah. One of the other disconnects I had was with the soundtrack. I thought the music didn't fit the movie really at all.
The music is very strange.
Well, it's not like it's almost like taking the incidental music from, I don't know, Gilligan's Island and putting it up against a Shakespeare play. It's like, okay, this is competently done. These two things just don't go together. Like, you're noticing the music going, huh? You're not really supposed to. It's supposed to enhance what you're seeing. It's not supposed to distract you, I don't think. But
no, at least it should be unnoticeable.
Yeah.
And this wasn't.
What'd you think of the car?
The car was a basically four-wheeled Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, well...
And it didn't make any sense.
No.
It was cute. I thought the car was adorable looking.
I thought that the cheeky car added a sense of dopiness.
The problem was it went from cheeky to, impassive from one sentence to the next.
And nobody is shocked by its appearance.
I have that in my notes too. That Frankenstein is awestruck by the ballpoint pen.
Right.
And he's just like, oh, this is your steel carriage, huh? How about that?
Yeah, and it talks. Oh, neat.
Yeah. Huh? No, and when he's driving through the countryside with Mary Godwin, and she goes, oh, this is cool. And the peasants see them go by and take their hats off.
Well, huh?
Huh? There is something you don't see every day, Hans.
What's that, Franz?
It's a steel carriage driving under its own power as if by magic.
I don't know. Yeah.
That is my flawless Swiss accent.
Speaking of which, those Swiss accents were so thick, could you understand them?
Oh my, it was terrible. I mean, and the way they kept bringing in all the multiple languages, there isn't an accent in there from anywhere near Switzerland, not even near Swiss cheese factories.
Well, see, they left the holes for the plot. Oops! I might be giving something away there. Yeah, I did, however, say when he shows up in his car through the Time-Gina, my note was, good, there's English. We can breathe here.
Everyone speaks English. Now, to be fair, when when he's asking about how much things cost, they do mention francs, and Swiss francs were the currency.
Those are little tiny hot dogs with holes in them.
Yeah. Yes, on toothpicks. Yep.
Sure. There's their historic accuracy right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I guess when we see that there's an actual Dr. Frankenstein, we're just going to forget the whole idea that it was fictional. Okay.
That's the thing. We're mixing the fictional Dr. Frankenstein with the very real figures of Byron Shelley and Godwin.
Yeah. But that's because this film takes place in 2031.
Right, which is obviously an alternate timeline?
I guess, because that's by then that people have developed that deep religious connection to their bicycles, and they feel the need to bury it. What was with that scene?
Didn't understand. That scene was so odd. I thought, this is gonna be some science fiction-y thing, or
a comment on man's reliance on machines, or
in this future, maybe there's the shortage or there heavy scarcity, so giving up something old is no. They're just burying a bicycle
because they got a new one.
Yeah, with opaque wheels.
Yeah, it's future bike.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem. I gotta say, Buchanan doesn't seem to object to the fact that these random children are digging up his front lawn to bury their bicycle.
Well, not only that, but there's this weird pagan ritual that's going along with it.
Yeah, where they're doing all that pseudo-Latin, like kind of like they were doing a little bit in The Raven,
I guess it's a callback.
In Seculi Secularum.
I mean, it's honestly one step away from Hail, Hail, Fire and Snow, call the angel.
Yeah, I kept waiting for the angel to show up.
Yeah, the lawyer from Los Angeles. Martin Belly, I think, was... Why do I remember these things?
I don't
Marvin
know.
Belly, that's yes.
He's getting help, folks, don't worry.
No, he's not, because, But I will say that this film, for a Corman film, looks very expensive. I mean, it is...
It does. I mean, this is filmed in another country. The wrong country, but another country.
Well, and let's face it, how many times has Prague stood in for who knows what? Or Canada, here in New York, good old chum. It's like,
here we are in Burbank, jolly old chap. I mean, England.
Yeah, but I will say, too, the one thing I was glad that we are finally able to put to rest with this film, and that is the proof that the past was so clean.
Yeah, everybody is so spotless and their teeth are so good.
And how do you know he's king? Yeah, you can fill out that line yourself.
Yeah.
So it does. There is money spent on the screen. We do see it.
Absolutely.
Some places. Some of it we don't. Certainly not in the accents. I'd have been happy if Raul Julia had just said, the hell with that, I'm doing my Hispanic accent and just done that. Why not? Victor Frankenstein... by way of wherever Raul Julia is from. I don't care.
Sure, it could have been Victor Frankensteino.
Sure. Yeah. The way makeup is weird. And the plot. So here's a quick question. I usually don't ask this till later, but Max, what was this movie about?
It was about 87 minutes long.
Because we start off and it's the future, and he's ostensibly, Buchanan is like, I guess, a weapons developer for the government TM. And somehow shooting a laser causes a disturbance in time.
In the Force,
and
I don't
space.
know.
Yeah, and old bad movies where John Wayne comes tumbling through in his Genghis Khan outfit. And then, okay, so we're talking about technology goes wrong. Well, that's a theme of the original novel, Frankenstein, man and technology playing God, except, oh, no, we're not doing that because we're going to go to 19th century Switzerland.
Then we're going to go to the far future.
Yeah.
Where no one's left. And again, there's you're right. The theme starts out with and sort of tries to end with the idea that this is a modern Frankenstein. That's what Buchanan is. He's created a monster. He even says that.
Oh, I want to come back to the ending.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we have these weird subplots, like this whole thing with Justine, this poor woman who's been accused. Somehow, this poor 95-pound woman is accused of literally by her hands only ripping apart the younger brother of Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah, it wasn't simply that she strangled him. It's like, okay, hysterical strength, but apparently tearing the arm off.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
No, and so people are willing to believe that she did that so much that burn the witch, we will cleanse the earth with fire. They decided to hang her.
That's their explanation, is that it was witchcraft.
Yeah, and we spend a lot of time dealing with this subplot, and it fails. She gets hung. Hanged.
And I thought, Frankenstein's going to use her body to create the bride.
If you can create life from dead tissue, can't we save this poor... No, they just leave her alone. That's it. We're done.
Yep.
And then we go off, and there's this whole subplot about Frankenstein wanting a love doll, basically. Although he doesn't seem to know what a woman is. And he doesn't seem to know what they're for. He just knows he wants one.
Yeah.
Because he keeps asking, but who made you? Who made you? And apparently...
Oh, yeah, the monster does,
Well, apparently the reason he doesn't know is because he hasn't read the book. It's not done. So, I guess. Although, the idea that Mary Shelley didn't make up Frankenstein, but is basically writing about what happens, really is going to make for a interesting novel.
Yeah, although now... he prints her out a copy because apparently his car is also equipped with a laser printer and an immense supply of paper.
Yep.
Says, here's the book you wrote. It's like, well, thanks. I'll just hand this in to a publisher. It's already typed and everything.
Well, and it makes a paradox because now, who wrote Frankenstein?
Who actually wrote it?
The answer is nobody.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't print something in the future that was written in the past when it was copied from the thing in the future.
Thank you, Tim Powers. Yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing. One of my favorite science fiction novels, The Anubis Gates, which if you have not read, is a kick. And sadly, the only Tim Powers book I've read that I really liked, but all right. It doesn't make any sense. We have this whole stuff with the car and the car giving up its life for who cares. It's like, I can self-implode and bring back the time China, and that will readjust things, and we'll go into let's get to the ending.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Okay. Obvious what happened is he projected himself so far into the future, he ended up on a Doctor Who set.
I think you're being unkind to Doctor Who. In later years, true. Doctor Who has gotten the budget it deserves, and it actually...
No, I'm talking the old Tom Baker Doctor Who, where everything was made out of cardboard, and I'm sorry, a lot of the stuff in there is, someone's been rummaging through Sharper Images dumpster.
Yeah, or I sensed a lot of Quaker Oats containers with light stuck on them.
And how does Buchanan figure out how to utilize the random laser beams that just shoot around this room, which are apparently hooked up to the clapper?
I guess. Well, it may be the same way that Dr. Frankenstein learned how to use the car. He read the manual. He literally opened the glove compartment, not locked, and Dr. Frankenstein reads the manual and now totally understands all the capabilities of the laser-operated kit car.
Hey, to be fair, Buchanan somehow instinctively knows how to load and use a muzzle-loading pistol.
Yeah.
Because they got those all over the place in 2031.
And I don't know about you, but I saw Time China and Car, and I'm like, if this asshole goes 88 miles an hour, I'm going to punch someone right in the Frankenstein.
Yeah, I have in my notes, I wonder if they're going to need 1.21 gigawatts to make this work. And this was, I believe, this is 1990. Isn't that after Back to the Future?
Back to the Future is 85.
Yeah, so that was a little obvious.
Yeah. There's also scenes like, so she's gone off, he's sent off his bride to be in her little cart there to avoid the dangers of the crowds or the monster, whatever. Somehow the monster running catches up to a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing. And we see him run, and he doesn't run exactly. It's more like lurching side to side.
Yeah, which fits the whole image of Frankenstein in general, except Frankenstein, as Baymax says, I am not fast.
Well, then the townspeople with their torches and pitchforks catch up, and we don't even know why they were following the carriage.
Nope.
They're just there so that the monster can start tearing them apart, I guess. But we don't know how they caught up either. They don't even have the car. So maybe there was a miniature time giant they walked through.
Maybe.
I don't know. Or they were caught in the lambda zone. But the ending, so we're at this ending.
Yeah.
And he's gone into the future, and the monster's gone with him because, sure, having killed Victor.
The monster goes with him, the bride goes with him, and Frankenstein goes with him. But let's see, the monster pulls a Bane versus Batman on Frankenstein and breaks his back.
Yeah, oh no, and Bison. Finish him!
Yeah, pretty much. Flawless victory.
Yeah,
I know, wrong game.
Never mind, wrong term for this movie, but...
Yeah, and the bride basically forces Victor to shoot her.
Right.
So that's just the monster and Buchanan leads him to, I don't know, the room of questions or something.
Laser quest? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he actually brought him into a laser tag arena.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And then there's a point where the monster's actually killed, and nobody believes it.
No.
It's one of those things we all know. It's any slasher film. Michael Myers gets hit in the head or whatever and goes down. Yeah. But you know there's 20 more minutes of the film, so nobody buys it. And the way this is shot, there is no question in your mind that when the monster first goes down, he's fine.
Yeah. And for some reason, there is a voice in the lambda zone that...
I got a pain in my lambda zone.
Recognizes Dr. Buchanan, and Dr. Buchanan makes nothing of this. No. Like, oh, he knows my name. Okay. Yeah. Doesn't try to talk to him. Yeah. Doesn't try to find out what this is. The monster, however, instinctively knows this is this is the last refuge of man.
Yeah.
How do you know that? Was there a brass plaque I missed, or what?
Or maybe he asked Siri. I don't know. But yeah, it's ends badly. I can't think of another way to put this, and I know we're giving things away, but it ends badly. But what doesn't end badly is our show, if you're at that point, Max.
Yep, I think so. The finish.
So, Max.
Yeah.
Frankenstein Unbound.
Ah! Oh, Lord. I think this could arguably be the worst one we've seen.
I don't think we're going to argue that much.
Yeah, I mean, this one, at least as others give a sense of competence, basic competence.
Sure.
This is not. The acting is lackluster at best.
Yeah.
At best, and which is unforgivable when you have a cast like this.
Yeah.
And the writing is just dumb. There are plot holes, each one of which is a time gina unto itself.
It goes along with the Spanus.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's like trying to be 8 different movies at once and not doing any of them well.
Yeah.
No, bad. So bad.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Awful. I mean, I really did not. Here's the thing I will say about some of the Corman films, and I do actually have a little scorecard for us to go with because we're at the end of our series. But with a lot of other Corman films, it felt like there was a germ of something interesting. Even if he didn't explore it all the way, it felt like, oh, if you had just gone with this could have been really cool. This film, no, there was nothing in it. There was things they should have explored instead of what they did, but they weren't. Nothing was new or interesting. And they took what is arguably a prime example of great English literature and said, talking car, time gina, That's what I'm going to do. So, the poster is the best thing about this film. That's a great poster.
The poster is very cool. It really is. It's really arresting. It's really, sorry for this, eye-catching. But it really is, the poster's better than the entire movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty friggin' sad.
Yeah. But
yeah, so give this one a miss. It is not in any way a negative that you will not be able to find this movie. Don't bother.
Yeah, it's too hard.
Blah.
No. But we are at the end of the actual series for Be Like the Cor-Man. What did we think? What have we learned from the Cor-Man? Well, in House of Usher, Max said, slow but okay. Mike said, yeah, I'll give it a little pass. Little Shop, Max, no. Close to funny, but no.
Yeah.
Mike said, attempt at something different, but no. Yeah. X, the man with X-ray eyes. Max said, neat concept, overall slow, kind of dull. Mike said, deftness in its cheapness, but slow. Battle Beyond the Stars. Max, sucks. Dear. Mike, awful. A Bucket of Blood. Max, feels too much like Little Shop, almost amusing, no. Mike, good potential, but just it'll get a pass. I'll give it a pass. The Raven, Max, doesn't hold up at all. Mike, it's just not a good film. And then last week's The Trip, Max, interesting idea, boring execution. Mike, interesting, even-handed, still wouldn't recommend. So, not a lot of positive things for the Cor-Man, except for the fact that he made money.
And, well, the thing is, what you just said really kind of highlights, you get the feeling that he has these germs of good ideas, these germs of interesting concept, but he does not know how to bring them to fruition. I don't know if it's he never had the money, or if that's not what he can do.
Yeah. On the other hand, the man did what many, many in Hollywood have been unable to do, and that is consistently, except for this week, make money with what they're doing.
And he turned out, as director, producer, whatever, over 400 films.
Yeah.
That is a legacy very few people can match.
Yep. And look at the talent that he spotted and gave a first chance to.
Honestly, that's his real gift.
Yeah.
If you can say, whatever he contributed to Hollywood, it was he knew the people to nurture, the people to give a chance to, and he was willing to give a chance to a lot of people, and a lot of them paid off.
Sure did. So
look, just look at Dick Miller.
Dick Miller, right up there with the bests. But I'm going to say, I appreciate Corman for having been successful. I would say I don't really enjoy many of the films that we've seen. Again, I think that there's some great ideas too. But his time came and went. He was maybe a product of his time, but he cashed in on it. And you know what? Good for Roger. I still have respect for the man, even though I don't enjoy his films, even though I just saw Frankenstein Unbound.
And it's very good.
Just good for you. You managed to go in there. You made things. People saw them. People know your name. Good for you.
And you know something? And it's sad that this is such a positive now. He left a really good legacy with people. People liked him.
Yeah.
We have not heard, even from the people who put him down, nobody has said he was an awful person, or that he treated his actors badly, or that he was cruel or abusive. He was apparently, he was a child of his, of his upbringing, so maybe, he didn't give the best parts to women. And there were not a lot of people of color in any of his movies.
Or any.
Once in a while.
Yeah, in the background, if you squint real hard.
Yeah, in the back. Yeah.
And at least he didn't, sneak laxative into somebody's meal and chain them to a camera.
He was not Alfred Hitchcock, no. No, he sounds like he was overall a fairly decent guy who made money for his backers, got his actors paid. Good for you, Raj.
Yeah.
We salute your legacy, even if we're probably not going to hang out and watch a lot of your films.
No. And we salute your legacy by restating the poll question and telling you how you can answer it, Max, if you would be so kind.
I would, except, what is poll question?
Show me poll question.
What is murder? Watching this movie. As I say, by some counts, Frankenstein is the third most adapted literary character after Dracula and Sherlock Holmes. Who is your favorite literary character who has been adapted to film or TV multiple times? And you can answer this by beaming it into the lambda zone through a space gina.
Watch out for the status.
Yep. No, you can, of course, You can email us at maxmikemovies.com. You can go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, and leave a comment. You can find us on the booking face under Max Mike Movies and leave a comment there. Answer the poll question there. We always post it. Mike always posts it.
No.
We will be on every podcast app in your life forever. Watching, listening, snoring. But while we are done with being like the Cor-Man, we're going to now, for the last couple of episodes before our big blowout, 17-hour 300th episode.
I promise it won't be that long.
We've learned our lesson. But we're going to do just, if not be like the Cor-Man, then be Cor-Man adjacent.
Be adjacent to the Cor-Man, won't you?
We're gonna talk about movies that he made but didn't direct, but that still have affected our world.
Oh, yeah.
And Mike is going to start off with one he chose. What did you choose, Mike?
Well, Max, I can't help but think that the best way to be adjacent to the Cor-Man is to direct like the Cor-Man and then move on to become a very successful director in your own right, which is
okay, I'll go do that.
Go do that. Good. The show is mine. It's mine. Oh, mine.
Ha! I'm back.
Damn. No, so there's a gentleman who was a child actor, which is often fraught with peril. This is one of the few cases where he was not fraught with peril, came out clean, and then continued to work in the industry and be very successful. But his first directed feature was produced by none other than Roger Corman. And his first feature, this mystery person, if you haven't guessed, was called Grand Theft Auto and has absolutely nothing to do with the video game of the same name.
Zilch.
But what it does have to do with is Richie Cunningham, because Ron Howard is our director. And he not only directs and co-writes this with his dad, but he stars in this film. So this is an Ed Wood-like convergence of writing, directing, and starring. So how could that be bad? So join us next week when we all go and watch Grand Theft Auto. Maybe it will steal its way into your heart.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.